Hey guys, recently we visited Northeastern Ohio, and where can you go to see 19 covered bridges, 111 barn quilts, and all these amazing wineries? It is a really cool place, so if you'll come back, we'll tell you all about it. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dan.
I'm Lisa, and we're from Always on Liberty.
Recently, we had the great luck of striking a really cool place to visit in Northeastern Ohio. Probably a place that you don't really think about having great tourism, but we found some really cool things here. So I'm going to let Lisa tell you a little bit about some of her favorite things, and we'll tell you about where we stayed.
Okay, now first of all, when people think of Northern Ohio, you think of I-90 and it goes right straight through.
Through Cleveland.
Through Cleveland. It's between Erie and Cleveland. So anyway, what we did is we found a Thousand Trails Park called Kenisee Lake. And this is a really, really popular Thousand Trails Park. And we're going to tell you a little bit about that, and then we're going to merge into what we did, what we saw, and where we went.
A lot of attractions here. It's really neat.
Yes. So anyway, we stayed at the Thousand Trails Kenisee Lake, and this is more of a seasonal campground because we are on Lake Erie. And let me tell you, having grown up not too far from here, the winters get brutal, so this definitely is a summer destination. So it's Kenisee Lake RV Resort is about 3.5 miles from town, Jefferson. Yeah. And it's not too far from Ashtabula, where there's more urban availabilities such as shopping and stuff like that. Kenisee Lake has 121 RV sites, 15 of which are huge pull-throughs. The 40 of them are 30-50 amp. All of them are at least 30 amp,
yes,
but 40 of them do have the 50 amp capability. Now, one of the big rules here, and they're very big sticklers, is you better not go over 5 miles an hour.
No, they really hold you to that. There are a lot of children riding their bicycles and stuff like that, so you really want to keep your speed down when you come to a place like this.
Yeah, and also it is a gravel road, so it does keep the dust down too. And people are walking, so actually we really like that 5 mile an hour zone. Let's see, they have 3 fishing ponds.
Three. One's very small, but the other 2 are very, very nice.
Yep, and they have, behind us, they have a good-sized lake, perfect for paddling your kayaks, canoes, or your paddle boards. Now, be aware, there is no swimming in there.
Correct.
There are some wildlife. They don't want that disturbed. Plus, one thing we noticed is there are a lot of Canadian geese that summer here. So, you know, the doo-doo.
But don't let the no swimming in the lake deter you, because they do have a very nice little pool that they keep covered at night to keep debris and leaves and stuff out of it.
It's heated. Did you know that?
It's heated. It's not huge, but it's a very nice, well-maintained pool.
Right. And they do have an 18-hole mini golf. They have a horseshoe pit. They also have a baseball field and some playgrounds. They have so much to do that if you bring your family here, you're not really gonna have to meander off too far if you just wanna stay and relax.
Lots of open spaces, a nice about 1.5 mile walking path. It's kind of a nature path along the edge of the woods and through some of the outer sites and stuff. It's really pretty.
They even have basketball and tennis courts. And one thing we also noticed is you are allowed to bring your golf cart. Those are welcome. Again, keep within the 5 mile an hour speed limit.
And you have to be 16 years old to operate the golf cart.
Yes, and you have to let the office know that you do have one.
Yes.
Let's see, they have your typical campground facilities like the dumpsters and the laundry. They have a couple pavilions. Now they do have an information center. However, because of the COVID-19 coronavirus whole thing, they did have that closed. However, they did have a pavilion right outside the office area where if you wanted to get a Wi-Fi signal and work at the picnic tables undercover from the hot sun or rain or whatever, you can do that.
The sites are spacious. They're quite a ways from each other. They're almost all level. Most of them have a gravel pad.
Yep.
There's some nice grass in between. Most of the annual sites for the annual folks are very well maintained. Some of them have beautiful flowers and hosta gardens and things like that. Each site comes with a picnic table and a fire pit. They do sell wood at the camp store.
And ice.
And ice.
And speaking of Wi-Fi, you know, we've not had a problem with the Wi-Fi here. Now, there are times of the day where it's a little bit busier. People are streaming at night. But if you're on your own hotspots, whether it's Verizon or AT&T, which one did you find was better?
I found Verizon to be pretty good. I really did. I haven't been disconnected. It's been, I don't know about upload speed. I know Lisa checked it. So for uploading, it's probably not quite as good.
Right.
Download speeds seem to be pretty good. But for normal internet usage, for Facebook and to read news and things like that, or your email, it's been more than adequate for sure.
Okay. So anyway, where is this located? It's on Mill Creek Road in the town, or near the town of Jefferson, Ohio, up northeastern Ohio. And it's 3.5 miles from town. There is like a dollar,
There's
family
a dollar general in
yeah.
town, a Family Dollar, a small grocery store, a small diner, an auto parts store, an AutoZone or an app if you needed to make a quick repair or something. But you can get most of the things you need. And if you really do need to travel, it's 15 miles to Ashtabula, to Walmart and Giant Eagle and Weiss and those larger grocery chains.
Right. Okay. And it's also, if you're a bicycle rider, it's near the Western Reserve Greenway Bike and Hike Trail. So there's a lot of things you can do for physical fitness and stuff like that.
Ohio has made a big effort for the biking paths or walking trails. They really have. They've got some long ones. They've taken some old railroad beds and converted those into bike paths. They seem to be really well maintained. So if you're a bicyclist, this part of the country might be for you.
We relaxed. Now we're going to go out and we're going to go explore the area. So in Ashtabula County, where all this is that we're going to talk about, it is one of Ohio's scenic byways. Now, ever since we got our view, we have been more back roads.
Yeah, we've been more on state highways and county roads and things like that. And this county, Ashtabula County, and the neighboring county in Madison, fit right into that picture perfectly.
Right. Okay. Now, it's 26 miles of shoreline from Conneaut to the east, right near the Pennsylvania line, and it goes through Ashtabula all the way to Geneva. So you have 26 miles of shoreline, and there's little harbor towns. It's different. It's different.
Yeah, it has its own vibe and its own spin. It really does.
And it's very seasonal.
It's very seasonal.
Yeah. Okay, so while we were in the area, we did see a lot of different wineries. There's over 26. Now, I grew up in this area up by Erie, and the claim to fame for these wineries is these are cold weather grapes, which means we have the sweeter wines. So there's a little bit different in wine flavoring. So make sure you look up those different wineries. But the big attraction are the covered bridges and the barn quilts. Let's talk about the covered bridges first. There's 2 tours. They're auto tours, self-guided. You just find them.
It's actually pretty easy to find your way from bridge to bridge. We were given a map of the bridges when we checked in, and it identified each bridge, and it had a little bit of nomenclature about each bridge and how far it was from one stop to the next. So we didn't get lost one time on the covered bridge tour.
Well, and also, if you wanted to, and I did this, I just plugged in covered bridges on Google Maps, and it just took you to all of them. So you do have, you're not going blindly.
No, not at all.
All right, so there's 2 tours. There's the North and Eastern tour, which spans over 69 miles. There's 13 bridges. And then there's the South and Western tour, which spans 68 miles with 6 bridges. Now, we do want to let you know, a lot of these bridges, getting to them, some of them are on unpaved dirt or gravel roads.
And they do cross rivers, so you quite often go down a bank, and the bridge is at the bottom of the little bank there, and it crosses the river and things like that. So yeah, you need to be prepared for some dirt roads, for some hills. Some of them have a limited parking area and stuff like that, but they're absolutely gorgeous. They're just beautiful.
The history in some of these, now some of them date back to the late 1800s, but some are rather newer.
Some are as modern as 2008 and 2010, and they've been built with the covered bridge style in theory to blend in with the community. They didn't want such a difference between the older bridges that the county had, and they didn't want these new steel girder bridges to take away from the scenic beauty of their tours and their counties.
So the reason why they created these wood covered bridges is, especially up here in the north, the roads and the bridges freeze.
Yeah.
And through not very much time, the bridges will degrade quickly. So by creating the covered bridge, it protects the construction of the bridge, and it kind of helps that there's no ice buildup on the bridge itself, because we all know bridges freeze faster than the roadway themselves.
They're very scenic. They're postcard worthy. We found a lot that were great photographic opportunities and stuff like that. And to me, they're an engineering marvel. They're put together with 3-inch wooden pegs. Some of them have been renovated with some laminated lumber to reinforce them from being in service for over a century and a quarter. But they really are still standing, and they're really a tribute to how hard these people work to construct these bridges.
Now be aware, some of these bridges are located on private property, so don't think you can bring your swimsuit and go swimming, because you know it is private property and you need to respect that. So yeah. While we were on the bridges tour, we also noticed that there were a lot of these barn quilts. Now, barn quilts are these big hand-painted, they're metal, what do you call it?
It's a sign.
Sign.
Yeah, it's a sign.
They put them on the barns and even buildings, and it's kind of like an identification, family, or what it's about.
Each one has a unique set of colors, has a unique set of designs associated with it, and it's really cool. It's a really neat thing to see.
Oh yeah, and what was really funny, it was like a scavenger hunt.
It is.
And in this brochure, we had the barn quilt tour, and it tells the address and where they're located, but some of them we really had to look for them.
Some of them are a little harder to find. They really are. They're on buildings that may be set off the road a little bit further. Some of them have very limited parking, so if you wanted a photo, you can pull up to the edge of the driveway and snap a photo, and that might be all you really get to do. Other ones are located in places where you can get out and walk around, or more in public places, so you can get right up close to them.
Right. So then, you know, this area, we would plan, if we were you, at least a week.
Yeah, I would
Okay,
think so.
because you know what's funny about this area is the weather changes on a dime.
It is truly a humid lake-type summer with thunderstorms popping up in the afternoon. You know, pretty much on schedule, to be honest with you. It's not like you don't know it's going to happen. It just happens.
So you want to do everything pretty much in the morning
It would be
and
better.
early afternoon, and then reward yourself with a winery or lunch out. Now, we did eat lunch on the lake in Geneva. Being really honest with you, we weren't too happy with those, because Geneva was more of a biker bar.
Yeah,
Can I say that?
It was. We split our time between the lake area, like Lisa said, between Tanya and Geneva. But I'll be honest with you, the more attractive part of this area for us was really inland. It was once we got down into Madison County and Ashtabula County is where we found the true beauty of this part of Ohio.
Yeah, we were all about the countryside
Yes.
and the more relaxation
Yes.
and stuff like that. So then there was one day we decided to visit the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Now, this is a rather new national park. Cuyahoga Valley used to be a national recreation area. However, due to a little bit of politics and the community wanting to preserve this area between Akron and Cleveland, they thought, let's make it a national park so there's no industry that moves in. So anyway, we're going to tell you a little bit about that.
And I'll be the first one to tell you, we have been to a lot of national parks. And I understand that every state would like to have a national park. And Ohio has done the best that they could possibly do with the area that they had to turn into national park. There has been a huge effort by the state of Ohio and by the federal government to put this into a national park perspective.
Right.
But it is not like going to Yellowstone or Yosemite or one of those places, or Gettysburg's National Battlefield. So you have to put your expectations in line with where you are geographically located.
Well, this is more of like a urban park.
It's more of an urban metropolitan park than anything else.
Yes, it does have a lot of greenway.
It does.
And it has lots of wooded trails. But let me tell you, they're nothing like the trails that we were on in Big Bend National Park or Yellowstone or Mount Rainier. Pretty much everything's flat or small hills.
There is a 31-mile bicycle path that they call a towway that is absolutely gorgeous. It is well maintained. It is gravel or paved. It's really nice.
It's 19.5.
Oh. It's well maintained and it's beautiful. So if you're a bicyclist, carry yourself to one of the parking lots there, and you'd have a beautiful bicycle path where you don't have to compete with automobiles and things like that.
And there's 14 hiking trails. They range from a quarter mile to just a quarter mile boardwalk to the tow path that Dan was talking about. One of those is you can hike the Ledges, which is a 2.2 mile hike along the sandstone cliffs. And there is an icebox cave. However, I read that they closed it to the public because they're trying to protect the bat population. So there's a habitat in there, and we understand that.
There is a scenic train that travels the same route that you can get off, and there's several stops where you can get on and off the scenic train. But again, that wasn't running because of the COVID-19, so we didn't get to experience that. So we really can't tell you anything about that either way.
Well, and even if it was because of the COVID, you and I were very conscious about being safe out there, not getting close. And this is why we chose this kind of journey up here, is we were by ourselves and we weren't, you know, really close to people and stuff like that. The big showstopper, I guess,
the
crown jewel of the Cuyahoga Valley National Park was the Brandywine Falls. And there is a staired boardwalk that leads to these falls. They're 60 feet tall, with a gorge underneath. But and there is a handicap access boardwalk that takes you to an upper level. So if you are in a wheelchair, or even if you have your child in a stroller or whatever, you still can see the falls. And let's see, that auto tour is self-guided. There's no app or anything, but there are 13 stops. Now, our big recommendation is, if you're going to go to the national park, do it during the week and also in the mornings, because let me tell you, the parking lots are not huge.
No, parking is fairly limited,
Yeah, they fill up. So you're going to compete with those bringing their bikes and parking so they can go do the bike trails.
Our take on it was the national park was built between Cleveland and Akron, and it probably is visited mostly by folks who are coming from Cleveland to the north and coming from Akron to the south. Now, with that said, that doesn't mean I wouldn't visit here. Would I visit here multiple times like you do Yellowstone or Yosemite? Probably not. It's probably a one and done national park for you. You can get your passport stamp, and there is history here and there is scenic beauty here. It's just a different type of history and scenic beauty than you see in the Western National Park.
Well, and this area, and I grew up here, so I know a little bit about this area, has over 500 generations of people. So they have the Native American history and that, but you have to really dive into that on your own. Also, this was a big industrial revolution start because of the canals.
Yeah, there's a canal system.
And if you go out on the lake shore, you can see the ore carriers out there. They go through the Great Lakes. So it is definitely a summer attraction.
It is.
And the one thing about the national park is you get to see how nature thrives and survives in the urban setting. You know, you have to deal with a little bit of pollution, air pollution.
You have to deal with some tractor trailer noise, things like that, because again, it's an urban metropolitan area.
Yes.
But they've still made a big effort to preserve it. It's pretty cool.
Okay, so Ashtabula County, located up in the northeastern quadrant of the state. And it's a fun area if you're into heavy hiking and you know, all that excitement. This isn't really the place for you.
No, if you're looking for changes in elevation and mountain ranges, this is not it.
Right, but if you're into more relaxed and kind of meander your way through back roads, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous place to come visit. So, that being said, would you come back here? Would you recommend us?
I absolutely would come back here. I think the Thousand Trails Campground that we're at is very, very scenic. It's a nice little park. It's not huge, but it's close enough to everything we need. And I really did enjoy going from covered bridge to covered bridge. And I really did like the barn quilt finds. It was like an Easter egg hunt or a giant scavenger hunt. The wineries are beautiful. They're absolutely gorgeous. I don't have a lot of use for the seashore part of it or the lakeshore part of it. But yeah, I would return here for a week again without a doubt.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm the same way. I mean, I grew up in this region of the country as a kid. And so I have a little different take on the lakeshore. Of course, I grew up in Pennsylvania, but it is what it is. It is seasonal. So you're going to want to come here 1st of June till about the 1st of October, because as they say, winter here is pretty tough.
Yeah, the Covered Bridge Festival is traditionally the second week of October, and it's hosted out of Jefferson, Ohio itself. Now this year we don't know if it's been canceled yet or not. We haven't really heard anything, but it sounds like it would be a really neat one-week festival to attend.
That, I think, wraps it up. Now, if you do come here, we found this book at the Thousand Trails office. They actually handed it to us, and it's the Ashtabula travel guide, and this gave us all the information we needed. It came with this map and has the Covered Bridge driving tours, the barn quilts, the wineries. So this is like gold. You want to take this with you.
Very handy.
It is, because there are no apps.
No.
I was a little disappointed in that. But, you know, if you're adventurous and you want to try different things, this is the place to come. So that wraps it up. We wanted to tell you all about our adventures in Northeastern Ohio. So we'll see you down the road. And as we say, underway is the only way. Thanks for checking in, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button there in the bottom right corner.